The show is live from, and today we're talking about the Indiana Donor Network. Mr. Clyde, how are you, sir?
Hey, fine. How are you, Jimmy?
Nice to finally meet you, man.
Very good.
We have your sidekick with us. Is that what we're going to call it?
That's my partner in crime.
Your partner in crime. That's Mr. Corinne.
That's right.
Well, let's talk about Clyde and Corinne before we break into the network. How about that?
That sounds
Are you
good.
an Indiana guy?
Yes, I am. Born and raised here in Indianapolis. I'm actually a retired Indianapolis firefighter. Did 22 years with the fire department, and now I'm with this wonderful organization.
Oh, that sounds great. Miss Corinne?
I'm kind of a new resident to Indiana, originally from Chicago, but love it here in Indy.
That's why we talked for an hour about the Cubs before we started.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Clyde, how'd you get started with the Donor Network, bro?
Well, actually, my daughter's a nurse, and there was someone that came through the hospital that she was working at, and she was so impressed with their dedication and with the mission that she actually made me promise to come over and talk to those guys.
Uh-huh.
So I did that, and I started in their transportation department and just loved the mission and the corporate culture there, and then just continued on.
Transportation Department.
Yes.
So I guess what is the Transportation Department with the Donor Network? Did you actually cart parts around? I mean, is it like the movies you carry around a little thermos with a little red thermos with tape on it?
Well, some parts of the movies and television are accurate, and some parts are just for theatrical purposes. But, in transportation, it encompasses everything. We have teams that handle our organ or tissue teams, and those guys work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so someone has to transport them around.
Uh-huh.
But there are often times where even with because we have 3 jets, and there's times when we will actually pick up an organ and drop it off, or pick it up and deliver it to its destination, or one of the surgeons or one of the members of the team.
In Indianapolis, does that happen a lot?
Yeah, that happens a lot in Indianapolis, and it does happen in across the country. The field that we're in, it's time sensitive. So, yes, that does happen quite often.
Okay. So you started in transportation.
Mm-hmm. Started in transportation, and then in July, a position opened up in the community relations department, and that's where I am now as a community relations coordinator.
And exactly what does that entail?
Well, community relations entails, as you might imagine, just everything involving the community, where we actually do work with advocates. We work with programming. We have activations where we have an activation with the Indianapolis Pacers, and oftentimes it's a community event to promote organ and life, organ tissue and transplantation.
Right.
So we're spreading the word out there, and we're hoping to increase the donor registration.
Okay. And how long in this position?
I started in this position July 5th.
Okay, so you're new.
Yeah.
Still in the honeymoon phase.
No, very new. Very new.
Any regrets yet?
No regrets. That's why I've got Corinne with me.
Well, what about you, dear? What do you do there?
So I'm also a community relations coordinator. I started in the
I'm sitting with the PR people, basically.
Kind of.
Okay. I'm sorry. You go right ahead.
So I actually started with Indiana Donor Network as a volunteer, and then I interned and ended up being kept there as a permanent employee. So I've been permanent. It'll be 4 years next year.
Wow. 4 years.
Yep.
Any regrets in that field? You wish you'd have gone someplace else or some way else, I guess, within the organization?
No, I honestly would have never imagined working there, but my mom was a recipient, so it kind of was like a natural flow after that to end up working in the field.
Okay. You guys seem both happy, too.
Well, it's a good life.
Both happy. I like that. Very nice. Tell us about the Indiana Donor Network.
So,
as he points to Miss Corinne.
the Indiana Donor Network, we are an organization called an Organ Procurement Organization.
Right.
So there's many of us throughout the nation, and we kind of work to be that link between patients who are waiting on that transplant list and the donors who generously give of themselves to save others.
Okay, so you're basically a go-between.
Yep.
For the lack of a better, right?
Yeah, coordinator, a vital link between
Well,
those two.
I guess you would really want official terms since you're dealing with all this, life or death stuff, right? And here I am making light of it.
Well, it's the way the humans deal with a lot of sometimes it may seem like an unpleasant, event or occurrence.
Sure.
But, it's a way that one can enhance the life of others. For example, if there is someone that is donating tissues, there's all types of areas that can be used. And a lot of times with lay people, they don't really think about that. For example, if you ever have dental surgery, you could have.
I have.
There you go. You could have bone powder that's actually inserted, or you could actually have donated bone material that's actually placed into your gum or within your dental surgery. If you have a tendon that's ruptured, I had an Achilles tendon repair. And if they cannot make they cannot reconnect those tendons together, they may use a donated tendon, to make that type thing work.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that works?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And the thing is, when you use human bones and human transplantations and things of that nature, it doesn't reject it as a foreign object. For example, if you were to have a foreign object placed you had back surgery, let's say. Okay. And where you need to have some spacing put into your spine in that area, if you were to put a foreign object in there, or maybe something made of metal or plastic, the human body could reject that.
Okay. Are there a lot of rejections from recipients?
On the tissue side, people don't generally reject it. It's not a vascularized tissue. On the organ side, they do make sure that the patient, the donor patient, and the recipient patient, they match up in various ways. Okay,
well, excuse me for not knowing all the terminology and everything, but you guys basically cover the whole body? Is there anything you don't do, or don't set them up to do?
We do the major organs that are all transplantable, and then we do tissues. So tissues can be cornea, bone, vein, heart valves. Heart valves help, especially a lot of children that might have some kind of congenital defect. So there's different ways that they can help.
Yeah. Well, a simple way to look at that, or a more simplified way, would be, on the organ side, you basically have 6 major organs that could be, available for transplantation. That could be your heart, lungs, kidney, liver, intestines, and pancreas. So, and then on the tissue side, you could look at your corneas, which is, considered on the tissue side, tendons, heart valves, veins, skin, and also there's certain bones in there.
Okay, so it's more than just life-saving. I mean,
sometimes it's life-enhancing. For example, if there was someone that's burned and they need skin grafts, and you can't just grow enough skin to take care of those types of situations. Oftentimes, even in the healing process of having a severe burn, there's skin that's placed into the healing process, but then that skin has to be removed as the body starts to heal, starts to grow and expand, and then you have to, remove that part and then actually, replace it with some additional skin.
Yeah. This is very interesting. I got to be honest with you.
And if that donor does not, first they're going to, the surgeons would look to find, a graft that they can actually place from that particular, that person's own body. But if you don't have enough, to graft from your body, then you can, have to look for a donor site.
Wow. Very cool. I mean, for the lack of a better term, very cool. The most amazing thing you've been involved in with this field?
Well,
it's a personal question. It is.
Well, I can say this because, and I was kind of thinking back about it, but I actually was in New Jersey at the AMAC conference, and I got an opportunity to review a VCA, which was essentially just a face transplant. And there was a gentleman who had lost a normal look, so to speak. And he had a trauma, and his face was really severely disfigured, and it had compromised his life, actually. He had a couple of kids, and what it actually entailed was that he wasn't, as free or didn't feel as comfortable going out during the daytime. So, even if he had to go to the store, grocery store, or do some shopping, or pick his kids up from school, there were certain people that would just kind of look and gawk on at him. Well, there was a donor who matched his profile in the other areas that they were, checking for, and they were able to actually perform a transplant from the donor's face to this, to
like
the
the
other
movie
person.
Face Off. You're kidding me, right?
I mean, that's a little bit of a dramatization, but essentially that's what it was.
Sure.
And
they can do that now.
Yes. And this person, now they have to have things that match and everything has to be compliant.
What would that entail? I mean, your blood would match. Was there a skin type? Or skin type that way?
They'll try to match obviously the blood and the things that would keep, the graft from rejecting, but also they'll look for the closest skin tone if there's facial hair, because that will grow. They'll try to match those things cosmetically as well, so that the appearance is as close to their prior appearance as possible.
Yeah, but this the person that actually did receive the face, I mean, he could use he had all facial expressions. He could smile, he could blink his eyes, things like that. And I'm not sure if he could wiggle his ears or anything like that. But
I can't do that.
but he was able to function, and his quality of life improved immensely.
Wow, that's just beautiful. You guys are heroes, aren't you? You help facilitate this. I mean,
the donors, I think, let us play a small role in that part of healing people. And
so you just give them the
lives.
platform to shine from.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
Well, and it's a lot of coordination, but I have to just say that the advocates that we have, which some are some are donors, some are recipients, some are just members of the family, the donor family, but those guys are fantastic. They're out there help spreading the word, because it's in the Indiana Donor Network there are 4 folks like Corinne and myself. Mm-hmm. And we have the entire state divided up among us.
Wow.
And there would be no way that we could cover the entire state without our advocate and our volunteers.
Wow.
So they're doing a tremendous job.
Well, let's help get the word out there. Where is home base?
Home base for us is Indianapolis, Indiana. We're currently, our office is located at 3760 North Guyan Road in Indianapolis, Indiana. Uh-huh. We also have a branch location in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Right.
And we cover the entire state.
So it's just down or Indianapolis, Indiana, and Fort Wayne, and that's it.
We essentially the Indiana Donor Network covers the entire state. Now there are certain counties that are handled by Chicago, by Illinois, and there's a couple counties that are on the outskirts that are handled by others, just because it's a closer proximity to getting that work done. But by and large, we cover the entire state.
And your volunteers. Are those basically recipients and donors and
Our volunteers are recipients, living donors, the next of kin of some of our donors, and in some instances, just people that are passionate about the cause and saving lives throughout the state.
It's a cause that means a lot to me. It touched my family as it did yours.
Sure. I think one of our donors very well.
One of my favorite people, well, my favorite person walking the face of the earth, her and my daughter, it's my sister. Love a lady to death. We're so different. But she donated to our little brother,
right,
down in Georgia, and she loves the fact that Johnny didn't have to, so I did him. But I did go through the exams and everything, try to do it. Uh-huh. An emotional guy though. My blood pressure goes up and down, and they didn't like that. And I'll have my blood pressure tested, and it's real high. And 10 minutes later, it'll be back down to normal. Mm-hmm. So I'm all over the place. Okay. And the weight goes up and down too. And Pam has always been the picture of health. So she's the hero in that one.
Very good.
There's a couple of friends of mine that one is a recipient and has been for a couple of years now. I don't want to mention his name because he don't know we're talking about him right now. How long has it been since his transplant? Do you know? The gentleman we were talking about earlier?
Kirby Cochran?
Yeah, you can mention his name. I can't mention his name, but you can mention.
Well, yeah, Kirby's a deputy sheriff in Johnson County. And
right now. Yeah, in 2018, we were behind his campaign.
Okay. Very good. Well, I believe that has been a couple of years since he has actually had that transplant, and he's doing very well.
He is doing very well. He's been a couple of things that I've been at. We're going to do some work together before his campaign in 2018. He's running for sure.
In fact, I just spoke to Kirby, and I've got 6 fluorograph events, which are, it's a graphic representation of Tracy Driscoll, who was the person that donated for him,
right.
And he has her liver now. So he's going to be a float rider honoree, and so I've got 6 fluorograph events at some local hospitals. I'll be, and he's actually going to be appearing at those hospitals also as a speaker.
He is a good guy. He's a wonderful guy. Extremely close with the family too, the donor's family. Corinne, explain for our listeners, what is a fluorograph?
So a fluorograph is a portrait created using different organic materials, so seeds, spices, flower petals, and it would depict the image of the donor. It's placed on the Donate Life Rose Parade float that goes down in Pasadena on New Year's Day. So on that float, we'll have different recipients of organs, people walking alongside the float who have given the gift through live donation, and then those images of the actual donors affixed to the side of the float. It's really something very, very cool to see.
Yeah, I know. It's all over his social media pages. He's very honored to be a part of this. So.
Yeah, it's an impressive thing.
That's going to be a good day. What's the date of that? Do you know?
That'll take place on January 1st, New Year's Day.
Yeah, it'll be part of the Rose Bowl parade.
All right. How many people are going out there?
Oh, we probably have a good dozen people that will go out there, including our families that we honor, some of our staff that will help make sure that process and their experience down there is an enjoyable and smooth one for them.
Now, do you see more volunteers or donors get involved? I'm sorry, recipients or donors as volunteers?
It's a good mix of many of our donor families come out and volunteer with us. Of course, our recipients.
Did Pam tell you to tell me that? Pam asked me to go help serve sometime. There was some restaurant you guys were at, and I was supposed to go help. And I
Granite City, yeah.
Okay.
You missed out. But we'll have another one for you. Don't worry.
Well, now I know you guys. I'm going to have to show up.
There you go.
So it's a mix.
It's a good mix. It's always very rewarding to see our donor families out helping to kind of spread our message, but it gives them some hope and a reason to continue to share their loved one's legacy with us as well.
Well, it is a message of hope, I guess. Yeah,
it is. It brings them some healing during a time of grief.
No, I guess since I was 16, when I first got a driver's license, I've always been a donor.
Very good.
Now, is there something else that we need to do on top of that? I mean, if I get in a car wreck, they know they can take some stuff. But, I mean, is there other paperwork I should fill out to become a...
No. What we encourage people to do is, sign up, register your decision either at the BMV, or you can do it online at our website, indianadonornetwork.org. There's other forms that you can fill out if you meet us in the public and would like to register. But after you do that, we say to talk to your family, make sure your loved ones know your decision. It'll just make things a little clearer to them if something were to happen and you were eligible to be a donor.
Indiana Donor Network. Is there anything we need to know? What do our listeners need to know about what's going on down there?
Well, there's just some there's a couple important things we'd like to know. There's nearly 1,500 Hoosiers and over 120,000 people nationwide that are waiting for life-saving organ transplants, and that's enough to fill Lucas Stadium almost twice. So that's the type of things that we want to get out there. We want to get that word out there. And each day there's approximately 22 people that lose their life or they just are no longer eligible, for donation and things of that nature. So it's a fact that we want to get out there and anyone can donate. And a lot of times people will say, hey, I've been a smoker for a number of years and I don't think I'd be a good candidate. What we asked is that you just register. Let your family know what your desires are, and then at the appropriate time, the medical teams will, make that determination.
Now, of course, this will go into a national database, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if it's not on your driver's license, they can still check and see.
Absolutely.
And that's what they do?
Absolutely.
So when they come down there and they register with you, it doesn't cost anything.
There's a couple different ways you can register, and as Corinne was saying, you can either register at the BMV, which a lot of people are familiar with, and then whenever you're issued a driver's license or you get a new driver's license, it'll either have the word donor or a red heart on it, which indicates that. Or you can register at one of our events with a paper registration, or you can text. You can register by text.
You can register by text.
Absolutely.
It's a modern world we live in, Ms. Corinne.
Yes, we often use the text to register out at events. It makes things very convenient in our digital world where people are fast-paced and they want to do things on their phone. So we try to make the process as easy as we can for them.
Wow.
Right. And then the fourth way, you can actually just go to our website or the Donate Life website, and you can register via the website.
Okay. Now, do you ever have people just tell you no? I mean, other than religious reasons, is there any reason to not do this?
even when we get into the topic of religion as a reason to not register,
which we normally don't on our shows.
Right. Most major religions do support it. And we encourage people, if they're concerned about if they should register, talk to your pastor or somebody that you trust and figure out if that's how you'd like to do it. Other reasons that people may try to rule or consider ruling themselves out, they're worried that maybe a health thing that they have going on might prevent them. We encourage them not to worry about that. They're not going to hurt somebody by registering.
Sure.
Not to worry about the quality of medical care that you'll be given, because you're treated as a patient, whether you're a donor or not.
Right. Okay. And then oftentimes there are people, because they're uninformed and they really don't want to discuss that, they'll think that, if I'm actually a registered donor, that I won't get proper care. And that is absolutely not true. In fact, there's a medical team that is caring for you and trying to sustain your life. And if you choose to be a donor, then there's a whole separate team that comes in for the organ procurement. So there's two different healthcare teams that will be providing for you, and each team is just, it's working just as hard as they can to serve you and do whatever they can for you.
Sure. Now, when you register, can you break it down? Say, okay, I would like to donate this. Because some people get faces. You've already elaborated on that. Mm-hmm. So I could be, just since I registered as a donor, I don't think I did, and this was years ago, but it's always up it. I didn't never say, okay, I don't remember checking off things, is what I'm saying.
So in the state of Indiana, we're called a yes state. So if you say yes to donation, you're saying yes to your organs. So heart, liver, lungs, things like Clyde mentioned about face transplant and those kinds of things. They're still very new procedures. So that's something that your family would maybe be approached for if it's something they're comfortable doing, but it's not something that would just generally happen because you're a registered donor. There's lots of other components that factor into that type of donation.
That makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. So, I drink too much and had my heart broke a couple of times. Would that? I guess they would make that determination, when I pass, if they want my heart.
They would. The very cool thing now is just medical technology. A, people are taking better care of themselves, living longer. But B, we're seeing lots of cool things happen in technology where they are able to, if they, encounter somebody that may be a donor and say they have just a slight defect with their lungs, they're able to treat some of these things in between and increase the chances of a person being able to save somebody else.
Sure. What is the most desired, I guess, more sought after organ?
The largest waiting list for organs is kidneys.
Kidneys.
Point being, there's many people that can survive on dialysis waiting for a kidney. Now, their quality of life may not be the greatest, but there's that kind of bridge in between transplant. And we find, kidney disease is just very prevalent in society right now.
Wow. Okay. All right. What about the heart? It's the biggest organ, right? Is that, I guess, a popular transplant?
It's not the largest part of the waiting list. And again, with the heart, you have things like the VAD machines and things that can bridge people. So they may be able to survive a little bit longer while they're waiting, or if they do not get that transplant right away.
So a transplant is a last option. Period. It's down to boom, you got to have it.
A transplant happens
of anything.
Yes,
well,
if you're an organ,
major organ, or the 7 major.
Yeah, organ. You're going to be an organ failure when you're in need of a transplant.
Right. Okay. Clyde is over here looking at his papers, so he has something else he wants to jump in.
Well, I was just trying to make sure we got everything in. When we have an opportunity like this, just to kind of spread that word, we want to make sure that we optimize on it.
Certainly. Now, do you guys do events to get out in the public and make yourself aware? Do we have anything coming up?
Yeah, we actually do. As I was just kind of alluding to a little earlier, the fluorograph events are coming up, and there's several that are going to be around the state of Indiana. And the ones that I have been, personally involved with, we're going to have one at IU Health in the Cancer Pavilion on November 15th, and then we're going to be moving to Franciscan Health on December the 2nd. We're going to be at St. Vincent's Hospital on November 28th. Then we're going to be heading to Evansville. Then we have 3 stops in Evansville. So we're going to be at Deaconess and then Deaconess Gateway on December 5th. And then on December 6th, we're also going to be at St. Mary's in Evansville.
Wow.
So, and then we've got 2 up north, and we've got one that's going to be at Lutheran Hospital on the 14th, and then Parkview. It's coming up pretty soon too here, and I don't really have the date of the Parkview, but that's coming up pretty quickly also.
So what he's telling me is I got to edit this out tonight.
Right.
Yeah, I got to get it out tonight. Is what he's telling me.
Yeah, that's my hint.
How long does the floor graft generally take?
So the floor graft starts around September. What they'll do is they'll kind of print it onto whatever material it's on, kind of a canvas material. And then we have throughout the country different volunteers that they start in California, kind of putting that image together, painting it, putting the materials on it. And then our family gets it here, the donor family, and they're able to finish the florograph. So they have their hands on creating that, basically an art piece that will be on that float. And
generally, how big is it?
Oh, about a foot by a foot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Different shapes. Sometimes it's round. Sometimes this year I think it's a diamond shape, but it's always a really cool thing to see. It's very realistic looking. So
there's a lot of people involved in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's joined in with ones from all across the country.
It seems to be one of those organizations that you get a lot of love and care. You give a lot of love and care to when it affects you.
Yeah.
But you don't think about it when you don't need it.
Exactly.
Right. And then we have an aftercare program that, kind of continues on with the donor family.
Yeah, that's an aspect I think that a lot of people, they know about donation. They see donation happen on TV shows and they know about, somebody is waiting and somebody gives, but they don't realize what happens after the loss of somebody's loved one. And we do take care of those families. A lot of them, like I had mentioned, become advocates, but we provide a 13-month bereavement program for them. And it just helps them along their journey that they're traveling through after the loss.
Wow. Indiana Donor Network. That's a very interesting field, I guess. Organization, business.
Yes.
Wow. Any parting words you need to leave with us?
I think we would just like to encourage people to consider donation, learn more about it, talk to your loved ones about it. You may find that somebody in your family is waiting or knows somebody that's waiting or maybe has been a donor.
Sure. Is there a website we can go to?
There sure is. It's indianadonornetwork.org. And you can also look for us on social media as Indiana Donor Network. We're very interactive, so if people have questions, they can kind of seek us out on there, and we're happy to answer them.
Absolutely.
Oh, perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Clyde and Corinne, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Have us back again.